Houston didn't bring in Kevin Durant to rent him. That's not how you treat a generational scorer who can change your season on day one. So why is the front office flirting with the idea of letting him play this year on a ticking clock? He's eligible today for a 2-year extension in the ballpark of $122 million. The paperwork could be done in an afternoon. And still, crickets. Multiple reports say the two sides aren't just apart, they're living on different streets. If that sounds strange, welcome to how the Rockets operate now. They've turned NBA negotiations into a chess match, and KD just walked onto their board. You probably assumed the extension would be automatic. Most people did. When Houston traded for Durant, the message felt obvious. Pair a battle-tested bucket getter with a rising core and lock the door behind him. They didn't ship out assets to watch the clock run down to 2026 free agency and dare the market to behave. And yet, here we are. Houston isn't sliding the full max across the table. That's not incompetence, it's policy. The Rockets negotiate. The Rockets push. The Rockets wait. If the market has less oxygen, Houston brings a smaller fire. This whole thing starts with a blunt reality. Money has gotten tighter in the NBA, not louder. A few years back, player empowerment was the megaphone. Big numbers, quick decisions, limited back and forth. If a guy was close to star status, teams blinked. Maxes flew. Options piled up. The message to agents was simple. Bring the pen, we'll bring the bag. But that tide has pulled back. Cap mechanics, apron penalties, a colder middle class and free agency. Front offices are reading the room. Fewer panic moves, fewer courtesy maxes, more leverage on the team side. And nobody has leaned into that shift harder than Houston. If you want proof, look at the deals they've structured recently. Jalen Green didn't just get a see you in 5 years rookie max. He got a shorter, flexible setup that nudges him toward earlier free agency, but also guards the team from overcommitting. Alperen Şengün, one of the best value pivots in the league, secured a strong number that still landed below a full max. Jabari Smith Jr. got a healthy raise without detonating future flexibility. Even the Fred VanVleet situation turned into a lesson. Houston passed on an option and came back with a more manageable figure, trusting the market to do what the market's been doing lately. Blink first. None of this is random. It's a pattern. It's the blueprint. So how does that collide with Durant? On paper, KD is the holy grail of what Houston needs right now. Shooting that scales to any lineup, shot-making that punishes switching, gravity that unlocks easy reads for young ball handlers, and an endgame threat who can drag a defense into mismatches, then bury them from 15 feet with hands in his face. In a league where playoff possessions live and die in the margins, Durant still tips the seesaw. But the Rockets aren't negotiating against KD's bag of highlights, they're negotiating against time. He's heading into his late 30s, he's taken physical hits, and, fair or not, his last 3 stops came with turbulence. Golden State's final season was tense in ways we still pick apart. Brooklyn turned into a mid-season exit. Phoenix's structure never stabilized the way it looked on paper. Houston sees all of that and hears a quiet alarm. Overpaying today can chain you to tomorrow's problem. Durant knows it too. This is probably the last moment he can lock in a deal that fits both his resume and his future risk. It's not about whether he can still score. He can. It's about how many guaranteed years a front office is willing to bet on staying healthy, staying happy, and staying potent in May. If you're KD, security now beats dice rolling in 2026. If you're Houston, discipline now protects the ability to maneuver when the rest of the core gets pricey. 2 truths, 1 table, 0 easy answers. Zoom out to the cap sheet and it gets clearer. The Rockets aren't just paying Kevin Durant, they're building around Şengün's rise, protecting themselves with Jabari's trajectory, and soon enough they'll need to stare down a big number conversation for Amen Thompson. Stack those figures, sprinkle in a couple of smart veteran deals, and you're staring at the league's modern minefield. Apron triggers, frozen flexibility, complicated trade math, and a tax bill that punishes in layers. This is where we saved $8 million here suddenly buys you a specialist wing at the deadline, or keeps you under a barrier that would have blocked a mid-season move. Every dollar that isn't glued to the past can be turned into a lever for the future. You can't tell this story without addressing the ghost of situations past. In Golden State, the vibes turned brittle late, even as banners still hung fresh. In Brooklyn, the crescendo came mid-season with a request that cracked the foundation. In Phoenix, the roster chess never kept up with the ambition. None of that makes Durant unreliable. It makes him human inside the only sport where the business sits right on the bench next to you. Houston didn't trade for a quiet summer. They traded for high stakes. High stakes come with static if you leave the contract half shut. So what's the cleanest outcome? A smart compromise. shorter horizon, heavy annuals, and a structure that rewards availability and impact without turning the final year into a blindfold walk. Something like strong partial guarantees that vest with games played, team performance escalators that kick in with playoff rounds, and a team option or a non-guaranteed back end that preserves flexibility. Give Durant the respect number in year 1, layer protection in year 2, and make the third year, if there is one, mutual in spirit even if it's team-controlled in language. Not a hometown discount, not a courtesy max, but a "we're both investing in May" contract. Meanwhile, keep your eye on the tells. Media day language is the first one. Do you hear "we're close, we're optimistic, we love it here"? Or do you hear "we'll revisit at the right time, we're focused on the season"? That gap is more than words. Watch fourth quarters in the first 10 games. Does Houston lean on Durant late, or do they spread the closing possessions between Amen, Jalen, and Şengün? Closing touches are leverage, and keep an ear out for agent-side leaks. A "talks are productive" drip means both sides are saving face while hammering details. A "no traction" leak means the stalemate is real. The calendar will do its own talking too. There are soft deadlines: media day, opening night, the early December trade eligibility window, the mid-season trade cycle, and the unofficial checkpoint right after the deadline when teams settle what they have. Each one shifts the price a little. On the court, there's a different kind of truth serum: fit. If Durant's presence unlocks cleaner pick-and-roll lanes for Amen, puts defenders in rotation so Şengün can pass through scrambled coverage, and stretches the floor so Jabari eats singles against third defenders, the tape becomes the best recruiter you could ask for. Winning is the best closer. If, instead, the offense gets sticky, the pace drops, and the endgame turns into your turn, my turn between older rhythm and younger ambition, the arithmetic changes. Houston doesn't want to choose between tomorrow and tonight. The whole point of getting Durant was to do both. So let's game out a few pathways. If the Rockets rip off a scorching first month, the conversation gets simple. Houston can justify sweetening with incentives or protection that vest early, buying peace while the team's window opens wider. KD gets rewarded for immediate impact. The team stays insulated against long-tail risk. If they stumble out of the gate, you'll hear the word patience on repeat while both sides scope the trade landscape. Quietly at first, then not so quietly if the standings demand it. That's the scenario no one wants, because even exploring the market invites a storm. The goal is to never let the season breathe that air. There's another variable hiding in plain sight: development. Amen Thompson is on a trajectory that could change how Houston scripts endgames by spring. If he pops as a downhill engine who draws two and makes the simple read every time, he doesn't take shots away from Durant. He makes Durant's shots easier and cleaner. Likewise, a leap from Şengün in short roll reads against switch-heavy defenses turns Durant into a finisher who expends less energy to get to his spots. The better the kids get, the more efficient Durant's touches become. And the more efficient his touches are, the more palatable every dollar feels to the people signing checks. Now here's the part that makes this story truly weird, in the best sense. Both sides are right. Durant should want security and respect baked into the number. The Rockets should want guardrails to protect a core that's about to mature all at once. Those positions aren't enemies, they're puzzle pieces. The friction comes from timing. If you sign early and it clicks, everyone claps. If you wait and risk the room getting drafty, you invite a wind that can be hard to shut out. The smart move is to close the window before the weather changes. If you're looking for signs that the ice is melting, watch how quickly both sides stop talking about years and start talking about structure. That shift in vocabulary is the sound of progress. Teams can't move the headline number if a star refuses to budge, but you can wrap that number in bonuses, guarantees that vest with light thresholds, and late-year flexibility that lets a front office breathe. That's where deals get done. That's where this one should get done too. And if they don't, then the season becomes a test of chemistry under pressure. It's not a doomsday prophecy, plenty of teams survive this dance. But the stakes are higher in Houston precisely because the ceiling is higher. They didn't add Durant to make a cute second-round cameo. They added him because, for all the talk about positionless basketball, postseason basketball is still ruthlessly hierarchical. Someone has to take hard shots when defenses remove your pet actions. Someone has to be the decision-maker who absorbs the heat and still sees the rim. KD is still that someone. The weird part is how close they are to both outcomes. One signature, and the headlines flip to Houston's masterclass. One stall, and the whispers creep into practice. The truth is sitting right in front of them. Durant's skill set and the Rockets' philosophy aren't in conflict. They're complementary. It's the calendar that's causing trouble. Here's the final thought to carry with you. The line between savvy and stubborn is microscopic when you're negotiating with a Hall of Famer. tilt too far either way, and you warp the very thing you're trying to protect. The Rockets have rebuilt their reputation on tough calls. This is the toughest and the most straightforward. Pay for what KD still undeniably is, protect yourself from what he reasonably might become, and meet in the middle with incentives that reward the kind of season both sides say they want. If they do that, the only weird part of this saga will be how fast it stopped being a saga at all. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video. Thanks.